Talk about the significance of these helicopters. Who controls that plane?
Those are CBP helicopters, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, and they are out here looking for people, they fly really all up and down this valley and through these mountains and in different areas. And on the one hand, they can come across people, who want to get rescued. They want to get apprehended. People might set like a signal fire or something, or be desperately trying to signal because they've run out of water and they want to be at that point. They've come to the end, and they are doing everything they can to get themselves rescued. Those helicopters are also, though, part of prevention through deterrence. So they will also end up scattering groups of people. They can chase groups of people, further sort of disorient folks, and that's really the brutality of it. Is that.
Explain that, the scattering. I mean, there's the famous book, The Devil's Highway, and if you can talk back then what happened and how that continues to today.
It's part of a larger sort of enforcement strategy of the border, which is prevention through deterrence. So to really increase hardships on people with the hopes that people will basically give themselves up. So on the sort of biggest scale of the border, that looks like building walls and fences in urban areas and pushing people out into the Growler Valley in rugged and remote places like this, where it's very difficult to cross. On more micro levels, that can be, like we were talking about with a helicopter, that might cause a group to scatter.
And what does that mean?
That means seeing a group of people and flying close to them, flying low to them.
And they scatter, but what does it mean for them, for the migrants?
For people who are scattered by that, it can mean death.
So where we are in the Sonoran Desert, it's one of the hottest and driest parts of the country, of the world. And because of government policies like prevention through deterrence, migrants who are crossing the border are actually funneled into some of the deadliest parts of this terrain. Where we are right now is kind of emblematic of the mountain ranges in this area. These are the Growler Mountains over here, and then where we're standing is actually the Growler Valley. It's really flat, and there's not much signs of any other humans or civilization. So to get lost in this area, there's not a lot of places to go for help.
And where do people come over the border to get here?
So it varies. A lot of people start at a town just south of Lukeville-Sonoita crossing. Sonoita is the town.
In Mexico?
In Mexico, yeah, in Sonora. And some people leave from the town itself, and some people are dropped off or walk some distance outside of the town. From Sonoita, which is pretty close to the U.S.-Mexico border, about 40 miles north, there's a checkpoint. And then there's the town of Ajo. And then another 40 miles north, there's another checkpoint, and that's the only paved road in the area. So migrants leaving from Sonoita are not just walking outside of the little bit of border wall that is outside of the city center and then pushes people deeper into the desert, but then people also walking deeper into the desert to get around the checkpoint, not just the first checkpoint, but 2 checkpoints. The second checkpoint is about 80 miles north of the U.S.-Mexico border, which makes this journey over 100 miles.
And tell us where we are south of right now and the significance of the kind of final mountain in the Growler Range, where that is.
From here to where that peak continues to be Cabeza Prieta, the National Wildlife Refuge. Past that peak starts the M Goldwater bombing range, which is shared by the Marines and the Air Force, and it's an active bombing range, and there's also proving grounds out there.
This is named after the senator, the former presidential candidate.
Yeah, so past that peak in the distance, which is the last really distinctive peak that we can see from here, then begins the bombing range, which has no public access, and which our humanitarian aid organizations have only gotten access to once in the many years of doing this work. And when we did get access to that area, we found many human remains in just the couple of hours we had in the land jurisdiction.
Explain.
So In this area, we record the human remains that are found. It's not a good indicator of the total human lives lost, but just the human remains that are found, which is limited because of our limited access to this area. This is the only public access road until all the way up there on the other side of the mountains. That is the next public access road that you're even allowed on. We can hike in this area with permits from Cabeza Prieta. In July 2017, Cabeza changed their permits to add a clause that specifically said that leaving food, water, blankets, medical care, specific language to our work would now be in violation of the permit. So it's put us in a place where to do our work, we need to violate a wildlife refuge permit. The bombing range is completely closed to public access. In one incident, another search and rescue group got permission to be escorted onto the range to do a search and rescue with a bombing range escort, and in just a couple of hours they found over 10 human remains on the bombing range. If you look at the maps of recorded human remains, there are no recorded remains anywhere on the bombing range, which we know is obviously not true because in the few hours we've had access to that land, we found a dozen. So it can be presumed that many, many people have lost their lives on that land, and we can't recover their bodies or even know just how great this humanitarian crisis is.
The journalist John Carlos Frey alleges there are mass graves under the Goldwater bombing range.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, just in this area, when we first started exploring along the west side of this range, I mean, days will go by where we'll find 3, 4 human remains just in one day after spending many, many days out there hiking. The loss of human life is immense, and the number of people in the U.S. and in other places who have disappeared family members and don't have any closure of knowing what happened to them is also massive. But for where we are now in the Growler Valley, this is still south of the bombing range. So if there's that number of human remains here in this valley, we can only imagine how many more people are dying 40 miles further north.